Complex numbers, day 2. This is, again, complex numbers. Ooh. AKA imaginary. Oops. Yeah, quick recap. I is square root of -1. I squared is -1. If you learn nothing else from the other video, and you can memorize this, and anytime you see this inside, it comes out to be I. And anytime you see this, it switches to -1, you keep going. You can do this, you're going to be pretty good shape. Adding and subtracting complex numbers, this is combining like terms. If those said x's instead of i's, you'd be doing the exact same thing. 5 and 2 make 7, -7 and 4 make -3, but because they have the I on it, becomes I. It does not become I squared because we're not multiplying, we're just combining like terms. When you subtract complex numbers, you distribute a negative, change the sign, combine like terms. And I'm going really fast. Now, here's one thing I did point out to me. Most of the time, your i's go at the end. If it was an x, we'd write it as 2x plus 1 or -2x plus 1. We wouldn't really write it the other way around. So that's why you don't really ever see anything say like -2i plus 1. It's always like 1 subtract 2i, where the I is at the end. And that's just kind of protocol for imaginary numbers. Like, we want to say at the very, very end, like, hey, by the way, this was an imaginary number. Here's some foiling, and we got some YouTube videos if you need to go back and look at how to foil. Well, we have x squared, and we have a couple x's, and then we have a constant, and the x's go together. And the only difference is we're going to be using I, which makes this guy really interesting. What happens is, we foil. Now, I want to point out that this is a lot different than this. This plus sign changes everything. We're no longer foiling, we're just combining like terms. Here, we're no longer combining like terms, we're foiling. Again, 6 times 9, 6 times 2i, -8i times 9, -8i times 2i. Here's the thing I want to worry about. I have this I squared. We know I squared changes to -1. Well, now that just multiplies to become 16. And now that 16 and 54 can combine, and the two middle ones can combine, and it's foiling. But since we have an I squared instead of an x squared, it's a little bit different. We can keep going a little bit more. Not too terribly bad. Also, I like switching I squared before I combine these. Some of mine were like, well, let's combine those i's. It's like, yeah, but I really want to switch this first. Like, I don't want to accidentally miss this. I squared becomes -1 as fast as I possibly can. Here's just another example where I squared becomes -1, and then you can find a like term to go with it. Once again, I had them do this one on their own and check their answer with me, and they did pretty good. You just got to be careful of the negative and positive signs, and what gets an I and what doesn't. But this guy's going to be our best friend. Difference of squares. These are these special cases that, like, x squared minus 64 was x plus 8 and x minus 8, because we need to multiply -64 and add to, well, the 0 that's in the middle. So we'll actually use this to help us get rid of I in the next video, because I squared becomes -1. That combines, but with -28 and +28, these middle i's disappear. I'm down to just an answer. And this is going to be huge for us in the next video, because we're going to have to figure out how to get rid of I in one spot and have it kind of get moved around. That was about it for those. Not too terribly bad. Just remember, when you are solving, it's just make it to where it says x equals. The goal is to get x squared equals and then square root both sides. So subtract the 64 over, then square root. Because it's a negative inside, we don't really worry about the plus or minus. I mean, technically it could be plus or minus, but same thing here. Subtract the 100, divide by 4, square root both sides, get an answer. When you can't evenly square root, then you just simplify like we did. Now this one, We actually have positive 75. So when we take out the pair of fives, it'll actually have the plus or minus sign in it because this is a real number. So be careful. And this was a homework for that class. It's the next video that you're going to have to really make sure you pay close attention to. It's not hard. We're going to take the foiling that we've done, and we're going to take, I'm not sure we've done anything quite like it before, but it's not too terribly bad. So just hold on to this knowledge, and the next video will hopefully not be too terribly bad.